Ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome to the Reliability U podcast with Brett Scott and Adam Lunt, where we talk about all things reliability. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back to episode number 8. Just we're putting these behind us as quick as we possibly can, and I've heard that 50 is like the magic number here, Brett. You think we're ever going to get there?
Well, we got a ways to go. We'll see. We can
What?
hold out.
We just keep pushing forward,
Yeah.
huh? So it feels kind of lonely down here in the studio without you this week, bud. Where you at?
I am in Texas this week, so a little warmer than back home, but not a lot right now. It's I don't know, 40s or something. So not great either, but better than the snow back home.
I just ran over to Hy-Vee and I was too lazy to put on jeans. That was a mistake. It's like 19 degrees outside. It was brutal, but whatever. We'll live to tell about it another day, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you down training?
Yep. Doing some vibration training this week. It's been a little while, so had some classes get moved around and shuffled and canceled in November. So had some time away from doing the training for a while. So it's kind of one of those things, getting back used to not talking for so long and then standing up and talking for 8 to 9 hours straight. It's
right.
Got to keep hydrated and keep my voice going.
There you go. What are you doing, Cat? 1, 2?
Yeah,
what are you
one.
doing this week?
Yeah.
Cat 1. That's gotta, honestly, man, that's gotta get boring doing the same training over and over.
I like it.
But
I was missing it.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I was missing it in November, so kind of nice to get back into it.
So you're probably gone every day, or every week, but what, Christmas?
Yeah, to make up for that. Yeah, that's what's going to happen is back to back to back. Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what we do. That's why we do this and why we love what we do, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, how about you? What'd you do last week?
Traveled. We were fun stuff though. We went out to New Jersey to go out and see the wife's family. I think we spent 8 or 9 days out there.
Yeah.
It was nice long trip. We got home just before lunch on Sunday, and I'm like, I'm gonna go watch. I had to go pick the dog up from the border and all that crap. Got back to the house about 1 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and watch some football. I woke up Monday morning. It was a long drive. We left there about 6 o'clock in the evening and just drove all night. And it shockingly didn't really hit any weather.
That's good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw there was that big pileup out on I-70 right on the Illinois-Indiana line. We missed that by about an hour.
Oh, wow.
That was we were on 74, but still, coming in the same direction. Yeah. It was like, there was a big cell coming down off the lakes and another cell coming up out of St. Louis, and we went right between them.
Yeah.
So got a little flurries. That was about it. But it was nice to get home, and I must thank you too for taking care of my cat while I was gone.
Yeah, I made a new friend.
The cat was very happy when we got back to see some people.
I bet. Yeah.
So we missed one another by about a half a day. You took off right after I got here.
Yep.
But we just thought we'd get back on after a holiday and bring you guys back some entertainment. And I was thinking about this today. I don't even know how to put it in words, but I was thinking about remember the old Mario Brothers games and stuff like that. Like you had to go through and you had to beat the different bosses along the way to get to the super boss at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like our guest today is the super boss.
Uh-huh.
It's like we finally got to that point. I don't know if super boss is the right term, but we've got to that level finally.
Awesome.
And it was so weird because I look up to this guy a ton. Been working with him a fair amount here recently. I'm actually going to be with him next weekend, the following week. Going to be with him in Kansas City Tuesday, and then we're going to Appleton, Wisconsin the following Wednesday. But a lot of respect for this guy. He's been in the industry a long time, and it was kind of funny. It was you and I had even mentioned, a few times. It's like, man, we should have him on the podcast. We should have him on the podcast. It's like, but I feel a little like intimidated to ask him because it's like it's just us with our little podcast here, and then getting him on is like it's kind of crazy. But he actually asked me here a few weeks ago. I was talking to him about something. He goes, "So what's a guy got to do to get on this podcast? Do I got to beg?" And I'm like, "Nah, dude. When do you want to do it? We'll carve out some time." But I think everybody. And what's nice about this is we've tended to, not all of them, but we've tended to really kind of lean into a certain technology or technologies over the last few, where it's more of a specific to a certain segment of reliability. We're not going to have that today. He's about as well rounded as they come, and he'll be talking about stuff. He's going to lose me. I'm going to tell you right now, but it's some good info, and he's probably honestly one of the best public speakers I've ever been privy to sitting and listening to. Have you ever got the fortune of listening to any of his
No, I have not.
stuff? Okay. One of these days you will, and after this, you'll be carving out time somewhere.
Yeah.
It's too bad that you're tied up training the next couple weeks. You could go with me to one of these
Yeah, I was hoping that would
workshops.
work out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but there will be more.
Yeah.
After the first of the year, we're going to have more. We're going to do our 2 trials here and see how these go. And I think we've got 32 people, something like that,
And
signed up
For next
week. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. And you always get a couple more, last minute
Yeah.
signups. But I'm not sure where we're sitting on the Wisconsin one yet. Still a little ways out, so we'll see what happens. But pretty excited to get going with these. So anyway, we could drag an intro out forever. Why don't we nip the small talk in the ass and
Let's dive in.
get him on. So let's dive in. So everybody, straight from Reliability X, let's get my good friend Joe Anderson on here. Joe, welcome.
Welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Dude, not as much as we do.
Yeah.
I was telling Brett in the intro, it was we were making a list. It's been a few months back about potential people we wanted to have on, and your name kept popping up, and I'm like, man, kind of intimidated to ask him. I mean, he's kind of a fucking big deal, you know.
No, man. No.
So
we're all practitioners here, man. So
well, I appreciate you pulling the making the time to do this. I really do.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me, man. I really do appreciate it. I like what you guys are doing.
Well, I think we like it, don't we, Brett?
Yeah. I mean, we're figuring it out as we go, but it's fun either way. Like him and I both said, like even if we only get like 10 people to watch this thing or listen to us, like we still it's just fun.
Yeah. Well, you got to think too, right? Is the first 20 or 30 you do are kind of gonna suck anyway. So you get better at it as you go. It is what it is, man. That's how you get better, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
like
picking up a basketball, hoping to be Michael Jordan without any practice. Like that's just not gonna happen. Yeah.
Well, even just with equipment wise, we found that out. We were trying to do it just on our phones with like AirPods, and it's like this isn't working. Might be time to make a slight investment in some, like a little like a MIDI interface and stuff like that. And it's definitely helped, I think, so far.
Yeah, it's done. You guys are doing great, man. I've watched.
If nothing else, and you were our first subscriber.
Yeah, I know. I should win a medal for that. Where's
That's why you're getting the water bottle.
Yeah. I'm your first. That's what my shirt should say.
Customs.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, we appreciate your support for
worries.
sure, because we like, and Brett and I, we've said it 1,000 times. We're just a bunch of, we're just a couple idiots here, just trying to talk about what we love, and we definitely don't know everything. Hell, I would argue half the time we don't know anything. But
we're at least in then. So.
Yeah, but we're at least trying to get people to think the right way.
Yeah,
and I think that's something that even if you don't know all the technical ins and outs and the acronyms and all the names and the words and everything, just understanding that there is a compelling need to change and there is a culture shift that needs to happen and that everybody needs to get on board. I think that's half the battle right there.
Well, it's philosophy and the value in it, right? So philosophy is your mind shift, like understanding, maintenance means I need to do the things that don't allow it to fail, versus you going out and just fixing stuff all the time. That's not maintenance, that's repairing. That's why we have a word called repair. That's not doing maintenance, right? So it's just a small shift in your philosophy can go a long way. And
Sure.
You didn't upgrade your skills or anything. You just changed the way that you look at the way that you do work. And so, it's key, man. It's huge.
So what do you see as the biggest hurdle when you go into a place? Is it the philosophy that you have to change? Is that, or is there something else underlying?
Yeah, well, it's three things. Number one, it's always a leadership issue. Always. What people don't understand is people believe you can change culture, which culture in and of itself is an output. The input to changing culture is to lead people. So if you lead people the right way, culture changes. It's not something you focus on. You focus on leadership and leading people, having sympathy, developing others, caring about others, those types of things. So that's one piece of it. The other one is philosophy. Like I said, having the shift, it's just a quick shift in the mindset changes your entire perspective of everything that you're doing. And the problem is that we're not aware if we're not told or taught. And so being able to bring awareness is a huge piece. And then the third is that we truly don't understand maintenance. And so we can't even define the term. So, and it's a simple term. And this is why I always talk about defining terms and vocabulary, because as Americans, especially, we're very lazy with our language. And we throw words out that don't quite mean what we think they do, but we'll use them in a sentence anyways. And we're all known for it. But
right.
I think starting at, understanding the basics is key. And we're trying to be, the greatest in the world without understanding what right looks like. And so, that's always a struggle. So, but I would say those three things are probably the biggest, for sure.
And when you talk about leadership, I think it's key, and you can speak to this better than anybody I know. The key understanding between the difference between leadership and management.
Leadership is not a position of authority. Leadership is the level of influence we have on other people.
Sure.
The problem is when I say leadership, managers get upset because we interchange the word manager with leader. Being in a position of authority has nothing to do with whether you're a leader in the organization or not. Because you have authority, it empowers you to be able to do a lot of other things that other people can't, but that doesn't keep you from being a leader. And so leadership's about focusing on people, growing other people, and training other people. It doesn't matter if you're the janitor or the CEO. You can have influence on the organization. And a lot of the questions I get a lot of times is, well, how do I do that? It's like, train other people.
Right.
Always stay one chapter ahead. That's it. I learned this. Now I'm going to teach you. And when you teach others, you retain 90% of it. The benefit of teaching really is for yourself. It helps you retain and refine things that you're learning and the mistakes that you're making along the way, and bringing others with you. I mean, that's ultimately what it's about. And then
that's why Brett's so damn smart.
Yeah. Right.
I had a classroom full of people, but I'm the only one learning anything. It's weird.
Right. Well, it is. I mean, that's part of the reason why I love teaching.
Yeah.
I also, at times, you get challenged with some of the things that you're teaching, and I love it because it helps me refine my own belief system and the things that I'm teaching, am I being correct? Because we don't go out with malice trying to deceive people. At least most don't. There are some that I'm sure do, but most of us don't. We think we're right, so we're teaching what we think is right, but that doesn't mean it's right. Or, times change, technologies change, strategies change over time, given, technology and stuff. So, some of the things that we could be teaching is outdated, or maybe it's incorrect, and I don't mind. I like that because I want to get better.
No, that's a great point. I mean, you do learn from your students sometimes. The people that you're teaching things, they know a few things that we don't, and you pick some things up, and then that gets included into your next training, and your training just gets better and better. As soon as you get any kind of challenge from someone or some kind of a thing that makes you step out of your comfort zone, it makes you like, hey, I got to figure out the answer for this guy. And then when I figure out the answer for this guy, somebody else is going to ask that same question or bring up the same topic, and now I've learned something.
Right, and it helps your own growth, that's why I love doing it. Is I end up learning more than probably most learn from me. So, I enjoy it.
Well, we had Chris Green on the podcast here a couple months back, and Chris is arguably one of the best alignment trainers you'll ever run across, because not only is he's technically extremely savvy, but he's also has, a couple decades of field experience, and he's just a super relatable, likable guy you can, go have a beer with. He's not one of those stuffy instructors. And I think the personality of the instructor has a lot to do with it. But the reason I bring this up is I've been doing alignment classes for a long time. And unlike when Brett does training, it's a 4-day class normally, right? When I'm doing training, it's a 1-day class. So I do a lot more trainings just because they're a shorter training. Right. And so I'm in front of a lot of different people, but I still challenge myself to sit through one of Chris's trainings at least once or twice a year, because just like you said, you're totally correct. Things change, things I hadn't thought about it that way, things that I haven't seen. And every time I sit through one of Chris's classes, and I'm not saying it's only Chris, but he's who sticks out in my mind.
He's a good one to look up to. He's one of the best at it, right? So
he's one of my mentors when it comes to this, and I will come out of his training every time. And we've had a couple after training sat down, sit at the bar afterwards, grab some pizza, whatever. And I know we had it's not an argument. It was a spirited debate, we'll say, one time about a certain technique that was being used. And I was explaining to him my justification for the way I did it. He explained his justification for the way he did it. And I'm like, I've been teaching people all along that that way was wrong. Well, it opened my eyes. It's not wrong. It's just a different way of doing it that I don't do.
Right.
And I think that he, at the end too, at least stepped back and said, okay, I see where you're coming from. Maybe I should address this to my classes a little different, because it was just one of those different way of looking at things. And you made the comment, the English language, we say things that we don't even half-ass understand sometimes. Here's one for you. There's more than one way to skin a cat. What the hell does that mean? But anyway,
well, the question is, do you achieve the same result in the end? Or
exactly.
Does one achieve a result and the other doesn't? If the other one doesn't achieve a result, then it's probably wrong.
Yes,
right.
I agree.
And so that's the question you have to ask. And so there's always multiple ways of doing things. The question is, are you getting the same results? And if you get better results doing it one way than the other, then that's the best practice. So you want to teach the better way. There's a million ways to install a bearing. But the question is, what's the right way to install a bearing, right? So, yeah, for sure.
Sledgehammer and a rosebud.
Right,
whatever. That's always how I've done it.
Somebody's going to take that too serious. Please don't say that.
Right. You replace bearings?
Yeah.
But
not rosebud.
You guys are right. But like, even right and wrong, there's variations of that. Like, there's in between. There's the little gray areas where this isn't the perfect way to do it, but it's actually a successful way to do it. And you got to pick up that step on the way too. And
Yeah. Well, same operating context would be the determining factor, right? Like if I do an alignment on a turbine versus an alignment on a pump, and I tell you you need to do it this way, that's different than if it's the same exact pumps in the same scenario. What's the best practice, right? And so, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely two different things. So operating context is a huge piece of that as well.
Gotcha.
Well, kind of going back to the, talking about learning from the people sometimes you're teaching. Do you guys notice, we all do teaching to some degree. Do you guys notice that when you go to your class as a student instead of as an instructor, do you guys notice now through the eyes of an instructor, you see things differently when you're sitting in that class?
A lot of times I'm there to learn. Well, one of the learnings for me is when I first started kind of getting into the industry and kind of becoming known and speaking and stuff like that, I was intimidated when I saw people that I kind of looked up to or whatever sitting in my sessions, and I'm like, man, what if I, all the questions start running through your head. Yeah. What if I say this wrong? What if I do this? What you realize is you can always learn from people.
Yeah.
Always. It doesn't matter who it is, what session you go into, whatever it is, you're always going to learn. So I try to go into the, those types of scenarios trying to learn something. It's like, hey man, that's a good point. I never really thought about that before, because none of us are perfect. We can always get better.
Yeah.
And somebody always has something that they do better than you do.
Yeah.
Always. And finding that thing and saying, okay, I need to work on this. The way he did that was really good.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I brought it up, is because sitting in a class now as an instructor, if I go to some other class to learn something myself, I'm not only learning this other topic, but I'm also learning techniques from this instructor. What's he do that I could pick up and take and use in my classes? So now that's why I say I kind of look at through different lenses here when I'm sitting in class. Yes, I'm learning the material, but I'm also watching this instructor and saying, hey, I could do that in my classes, and that's going to improve my material and presentation skills and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's growth, right? It's all about growth. So we're trying to provide the best value we can to our customers. So whatever we can do to get better.
Absolutely.
And there are people too that might be, SME or a wealth of knowledge or whatever you want to call them in their specific field or fields, but they might not be, worth a shit at presenting. I know quite a few people like that. And I also know people that think that
it's a learned skill. So everybody can be good at it. It's just a question of, are you willing to put in the work to get good at it?
Right.
It's like you guys know the technologies and stuff a lot better than I do, and I ever will. Right. But there's parts of reliability I know better than you guys. And so we're going to bounce things off of each other. We're going to learn from each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing is that people that don't speak well, they let the fear get to them. And so, but courage is the ability to overcome the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so, the real question is do you have the courage to do it? It's not that you can't, but you let your own insecurities get into your head. People want to hear what you have to say.
Great point.
Everybody wants to hear a different perspective. This is why you're doing a podcast. There's 28 million podcasts.
Yeah.
But there's always a different perspective. I run into this a lot with people, especially when they ride a lot or they do things, is that, well, it's already been said before, but it hasn't been said from your perspective. The thing is that we as individuals have no competition. We're one of one. There's nobody like us, right? I mean, and so hearing from a different perspective gives people ideas to go out and try things a different way, and so we always can provide value in that way. And so you can't let those things get into your head. You just go out and do it. You'll get better with it over time. It happens, and so it's a trained skill to get up there and speak.
Now,
you're gonna screw up. It's
what you
gonna
say
suck.
rings true for me too, because like my biggest fear years ago was speaking in front of people. I mean, had such a terrifying fear of it that, to be honest, even in like safety meetings and just contractor safety meetings, if they'd say, "Hey, would you read this thing or whatever?" I was freaking out, sweating. I hated it, and now this is what I do for a living. But getting over past that fear, stepping out of my comfort zone, it's one of the best things that's happened to me. So, and it's expanded my capabilities and my knowledge of tons of different topics.
Well, the key to expand your career, and all you do is you have to be a good orator. And so if you don't step out and try to become one, it's really, really hard to be successful in anything, because if you can't communicate, you're not going to go very far. So, having that capability to overcome the fear, be courageous, and put yourself out there. I mean, it sucks, and we're all going to suck. None of us were great the first time we did this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was, and it's scary. I get it, but at the same time, no one cares.
Yeah.
We build up this thing inside of us, and now you sit in audiences now. Do you sit there and go, "Man, that guy really sucked"? Like that was no. It's like it's like, man, I've been there.
Yeah.
Right.
Know what he's going through, right? Yep. Like we feel for him at times where you could tell if you're being genuine. People could tell you're nervous and you're trying to get through things.
Yeah.
Like we have sympathy. We've been there. All of us started at zero.
Yeah.
And so but it's good.
The public, it's an act or whatever you want to call it, but the showmanship of it, we'll call it. Excuse me. That was one thing that I was always really fortunate, because you pull from all aspects of your life with no matter what you're doing. And, I've played in bands since I was in middle school, and I've always been, the dumbass up on a microphone screaming at people, getting a crowd riled up and stuff like that. So that was always kind of my thing. You
were in a mariachi band, weren't you?
I still am. What do I got the nylon string guitar, get it up high. Yeah. I'll sing. We'll sing Feliz Navidad when I see you next week.
Right. But, I'll sing it with you.
But no, that was always kind of a thing for me, is I always liked being the center of attention, or whatever you want to call it, and being up there and having all eyes on me, knowing damn well now if I screw up, that's what everyone's going to notice. But the good comes with the bad. You either do a good job or you do a bad job. But all that being said, I did that for, 20 years, 15 years, whatever. And then I started doing this training. It was a whole nother ball of wax, because, if I'm up playing a song and I hit a wrong chord, no harm, no foul. If I'm standing in front of a group of 16 technicians and give them wrong information, and that is just so happens to be part of the 10% that they retain from my training, that's now ingrained in them forever. So the repercussions of a mess up are a lot bigger doing this. Yeah. But I still think, just on a basic human psyche level, it all comes back to the same thing. Just getting up in front of people. And I've had a lot of people tell me in my classes, just afterwards, getting feedback and whatnot. No one's ever told me the information was good, but they've all told me it was entertaining and I kept them awake. So I'm going to take that as a win, because no one's ever said, "Hey, I learned a bunch," but they're like, "Those were the best classes I've had." Most of the guys are asleep by lunch. I'm like, okay, win's a win.
Right. Well, I did stand-up comedy at a conference once.
Oh, really?
And I've spoken for years. I mean, 20, 30 years. That was nerve-wracking, man, because it's something completely different. And now it's one thing being funny. It's another thing trying to make people laugh. You know what I mean? It's completely different. Yeah. And and I feel like I bombed it, but people still remember that. That was 10 years ago. I still get people coming, "I remember when you."
Is that out there on the internet where we can watch this?
I doubt it.
Who knows? That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
We could piece a
it
clip
wasn't
into
that
this.
good. I can tell you that much. But at least I didn't feel like it. I felt like I failed when I walked away from it. I think I was more depressed afterwards. You know, but I mean, you give it a shot, right? Like it is what it is, and like you're not going to become an overnight comedian, doing one set and never have practice before, right? So, but that's the thing, is practice and repetition. And I think in all things that we do, everything, we forget that. You start, they hire a new maintenance mechanic that has zero experience, and now they've been there for 30 years, still haven't learned the right way of doing things. They basically have 30 years. They have 1 year of experience, 30 years over. But, not understanding that when you learn something, you're supposed to take what you've learned and go out and practice it.
Yeah, apply it.
To where it becomes, applied knowledge gives you wisdom, which is experience, right? And so, but you have people that are knowledge hoarders. They'll go to every training known to man, but they don't apply any of it. Then you have some that will attend a training and they'll go out and try to do it, which is what you want. You need people to take action.
Yeah.
There's no point in learning something if you're not going to go do it. And so that's a big key that people need to remember and focus on. So you're sitting in all these trainings, you need to do it. Like, what's a point in learning how to do an alignment if you're never going to do it?
Right.
Man, I see that
and
a lot.
And then complain that you're reactive still because you can't control your precision maintenance.
Yeah, because like in this industry, there's lots of certifications we can go out and get. We can sit through a 3-4 day training, get a certificate, put it on our wall, be proud of it. But it's like I tell the students I have in Cat 1 and Cat 2, like, don't focus too much on that number behind the Cat certification, because I know some guys that are good at taking tests that are Cat 4, but they don't apply it. They don't use it. They don't have the experience to go with it. I know some great Cat 1 and 2 guys that are great analysts because they put it to use. They don't need that extra training. They already know it through experience. And compared to a Cat 4 that just is a guy, like you said, that sits in the class, he likes to go there, but he never applies it. Yeah.
Right. And he passed the test. I was known for being the guy that could pass the test. I had 37 certifications at one point. It was so easy because you can deduce what the right answer is.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, it doesn't mean that I know anything. And so I've been
it also seems to, like, a lot of the certifications that are out there now, they're just they're the same certification with a different 3 or 4 letter abbreviation at the end of it. It's just the same thing over and over and over. And it's like, hey, I've got this and this and this and this. And it's like, isn't that just the same test 4 times? It's like, but it's $300 every time that the organization gets. So that's why they do it.
Well, part of the thing too is with my guys, I made sure they knew it before they took the test. Because then you don't have to study for it. It's just a way of life. So the answers are really easy, right? And so you have a lot of people that want a certification because they want to put initials behind their name.
Yeah.
And then you have, what I tried to do is teach all my guys first and then have them take the test. So it was nothing for them because they were living that life already. And so there's a big difference between practical knowledge and theory. And the problem with a lot of certifications that exist, and we're going to end up coming out with one soon too, I'm sure, but is that theory and practical application are 2 different things. And we have a lot of theorists in this industry that have never stood up a program, lived that life, was a practitioner, did all the things that they did, but yet they're teaching maintenance and reliability practice, right? And it's like, and then you've got to go in and try to correct a lot of the wrong and stuff and the ideas that people have. It's like, it's great in theory, but in practical application, a lot of this, it doesn't work the way you think it does. And so, but for whatever reason, theorists are very good marketers, and practitioners, we're not the greatest marketers, and that's our downfall, is the ability to market. And so, because it's psychology, we've created a perception, and people think this person is an expert when you do some digging and you realize all they've ever been is a marketing person. And somehow they're teaching. It's not to say you can't teach theory because you read some books, but give me an example where you stood that up and you fought the fight and you got the 3 a.m. phone calls and had to go through all the rigmarole to stand this up and take it from reactive to proactive. And that's something that a lot of people can't hang their hat on because they've never done it.
Right. So,
but we'll see them as experts.
So, and since you brought it up, let's talk about best practices a little bit, because I know this is a kind of a charge of yours. Maybe we'll call it. Maybe that's not the right term, but
I'm working on it anyway. I'm hoping to change some perception in the industry.
And I've been very fortunate to get to see a lot of the drafts. And I think
you contribute to it.
So, very little, but I think that was, I think it's spot on. I mean, 100%, because like we've talked about this in a couple of the last podcasts, Brett, just in passing about, these best practices are a bunch of, just like Joe said, a bunch of theories. It's nothing tangible. So
the problem is, Adam, it's taught in industry that metrics are best practices. And that is a complete lie. Metrics are the result of the practices that you have in place, not the metric itself. And so they'll tell you, you need to be 85% OEE. That's, best in class, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's all the actions that you do. All the practices you have in place will get you to the 85% OEE. It's not the 85% OEE itself. And what that's done is it's driven people to look at things as red, green. And so they, we won't say lie, but they're basically lying, covering up ways or finding ways to manipulate numbers to make everything green, instead of fixing the practices that will get you green in the first place. And so the problem is when you get people that haven't done this, writing bodies of knowledge and all this stuff, and teaching people that best practices, it's a book of metrics, it leads down the path that we're seeing. And so what I'm trying to do with this series that we're coming out with is put actual practices in the books so that you can be green and you don't have to worry about it, right? Like if you do these are the things that you do to turn the metric green. Quit worrying about turning the metric green and do the things that turn the metric green, right?
Right.
And so that's been one of my big complaints, and I'm fighting an entire industry, right? Yeah. But it is what it is. Like, it's okay. Whatever. I mean, keep doing you. We get results. It's undeniable the bottom line results we get. You get a lot of practitioners that claim to get results. I can show you profit margins of organizations that we help and let them tell you. I don't need to tell you. So we get the results, right? So I know what's working for us, at least, and it isn't teaching people that metrics are the key.
New concept that you're teaching people how to go get to the green instead of taking the shortcut to make it look like they made it to the green. Huh.
Right.
That makes sense.
This is real mind-blowing stuff here, I know. But this is where we're at. And that's a big frustration of mine with the industry is we're so worried about green and red.
Yeah.
It's like red is good because that shows the opportunity. And now I need to know what practices I need to get in place so that I can make it green. Instead of that wasn't really unplanned downtime. So, we sit and we play this game and we gamify the metrics. And it's no fault of like middle level management. It's because senior leaders beat people over the head with these metrics.
Yeah.
instead of what are the leading indicators that change the laggards that you're looking at. And leading indicators are hard to manage because it's all the practices and things that you got to do to turn, the metric green. So that's kind of my frustration.
We've talked about that previously too, Brett, about, we've worked with some plants in the past, and I mean, it's a story old as time, but you have these places they're getting their asses in a ringer from corporate or whoever because PM compliance numbers are crap or they're reactive to PM ratios are crap. So they just start writing everything up as a PM, and it's like you didn't fix anything. And you still can't figure out why.
It just shows that we're 100% effective at sucking at doing PMs. Because if your OEE doesn't change, your throughputs aren't changing, or it depends on the industry, but manufacturing specifically, right? Yeah. If your throughput isn't changing, but all your metrics are green, you got a problem.
Yeah, I've lived through that. I've had a boss or bosses actually in the past that they were so numbers focused, like you said. They're like, how can I turn the screen without doing the right thing? Just I need it to happen now. To where we had one boss that was like, he told the Vibe group, you guys need to generate more work orders, and we're like, I took that as, well, okay, that's a stupid comment because you're not saying how to do it. You're just saying, I need these green. How do we do that? Do we need to, I need to make more numbers. Yeah. How do we do that? And like I told him, I said, so what do you want? What you're saying is kind of like telling me that you think I have opportunities out there that I could write up, but I'm not. And I'm like, that's not what I'm doing. I write up what needs written up, but he's like, you need more. Well, more, what do you mean by that? If he could give me some real things to do to increase production and make things better, sure.
Well, that's the whole problem right there. And it's not a knock. The problem is it comes across as a knock on everyone, and I don't want it to come across that way. But what it is no one knows what right looks like.
Yeah.
And so they're only going off of what they know, and what they know isn't working, but they're throwing out more of what isn't working and trying to get a different result. And it's because they don't know any better. And so kind of the purpose behind the series is hopefully to hand people some guides that will lead them in the right direction, to give them an idea of what right looks like. So that's kind of the key, at least to start, and I'm sure people will read it and there's a lot of wrong stuff and I'll get a lot of criticism, but that's okay. I mean, you can criticize me all you want. I didn't see you take the time to write this. So, you can either help me correct it, whatever you think it is, or you can complain about it, whatever, but no one's doing it. So I'm trying to help grow people. So
do we have a rough idea on when this is going to be published?
It's pretty much done. So, yeah. I think what I'm going to do is the people that are going to the workshops, I'm going to give it to them for free. I'm just going to give them the PDF.
Okay. Because I know I still owe you I was telling Brett, so we were out in Jersey last week.
Well, you got the PDM one now, but the precision maintenance one, I think I'm going to give out to everybody that shows up to the workshop. So.
Okay. Awesome. So speaking of the workshops, for people that don't know, it's Wednesday, December 3rd right now for the people that are listening. Tell us about the workshops a little bit, what we got coming up.
The big thing is just want to spend some time teaching people some of the basics on how to get out of that chaos that they're in and start to take control. So we'll spend a little bit of time. Me, I like to define terms. So we'll try to straighten out some of the mess to get people to understand. We'll jump into precision maintenance and predictive maintenance, which are two of the three core fundamentals that those programs are necessary in order for you to be successful in maintenance. And then end with a little bit of strategy, kind of an action plan that they can take away and go try to work on. What we're going to try to do is do these once a quarter so that when they come back to the next one, we'll kind of go through their action plans if they come back. and see, what questions they have, that type of stuff, and then jump into whatever the other next topic is. I've been asking for feedback on topics. We'll ask for it in the class, those that are there, see what they want to learn about. But we're getting a lot of business acumen, I think, is going to be the next piece.
Okay.
Tying, maintenance and reliability to the business. So I think that's probably where we'll focus. But yeah, I mean, it's just to give them an idea of and some value and some takeaways so that they can go and start to try to gain control of their systems. So.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it and circling way back to just, going into, I like to sit in these classes and learn as well. And I'm looking very forward to just sitting and listening to you for the first one. And I'll contribute where I need to. But I plan on taking a ton out of this myself. And I mean, everybody's unique. I get it. I love the people that are like, no, our motor is special. No, it isn't. It's a 50 horse motor. It's not special, but it's a motor. But I definitely like to think it's a little unique, as in, I'm not going to take this back to my plant, so to speak. I'm not going to take this back to my job Monday, but
it allows you to be a better service provider.
That's exactly where
you learn something.
Yeah. Because I want to be able to pick these things up and not only be a better service provider, but also be a better informer to these people and help them along the way. Because to be, and just like you said, it's a different perspective. And I could say the exact same thing that you say, or Brett could say the exact same thing that I say. People are going to take it differently because it's coming from a different person. And I think the more people that we have spreading this, I mean, it's kind of like the reliability pyramid scheme here. I'll learn from you, they learn from me, and we just trickle on down. But enough people do this and get that word out there. I think what you're doing for the industry is, first off, it's not easy. And for you to take this on and tackle it, because like you said, you are fighting an entire industry, not physically, but you have that uphill, but like you said, who cares? And I think what you're doing is awesome, just absolutely awesome. And thank you for doing this, because it is, and I don't know, and you probably have a pretty good grasp on this. Maybe you could share it. I don't know where along the way where'd everybody go wrong?
I don't know if this is my struggle is, the people that came before us did great work. But tools, technologies, things have changed and it needs updated and things. So like when a lot of those that came before us, right, there really wasn't a maintenance anything. So for 30 or 40 or 50 years, people have been writing about, having these systems, doing these things and all that type of stuff. And so it's not that necessarily, well, some people that love to market and sell things, there's a lot of that too. Like AI is the new thing. It's a trendy thing. If you talk about it, it's popular. People jump on board. No one really understands what it is you're talking about. It's just a cool, fancy thing. So there is a lot of that. But I think what a lot of it is that it's time we update and move along with the times and do things. Like a lot of the stuff we're talking about are methodologies from the 70s, and we're still talking about it today. Not that they don't work, but we have more data, more information, more ways things that can be done. But then you have like there's organizations that used to be ran by practitioners, and it was for practitioners and would develop practitioners, and the focus was the practitioner. Now it's become a business model. And so it's about how can we make more money? How can we, and so we've gotten away from training the practitioner, right? There's still there's still groups that do that. it's not all groups, but it's just like a lot of the focus is being taken away from the practitioner, developing the practitioner, those types of things. And it's more about what can we offer, to do things.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people like to work their way up. It's like it's any other political scheme, right? Some people like the notoriety to be on a board of something, this and that. And they're the ones that develop some of the stuff. And a lot of times, maybe they're not as well informed as some of us. And so they're the ones developing stuff around frameworks and stuff like that. And so, a lot of that gets taught. Then you get a lot of people that, like I said, haven't been practitioners, but understand that there's a market for this and can read a book and go out and teach stuff. And, or they ran a plant, but they ran it into the ground but they think they're good. And so they're developing certifications and they write books and stuff. When I know a lot of these people, and now their organizations that they left, were getting called in to clean up the mess. And, so it's a lot of that type of stuff. Now, again, it's not all people, right? There's a lot of good resources out there. And so it's not that, it's just that, I think there's a clash right now between the practitioner and the theorist. And right now the theorist is winning. And so we need to take back control. We're the ones that built this country. We keep it running, right? We're the ones that know what it takes, and we're the ones getting dirty, and we're the ones turning the wrenches, right? And me, not so much anymore. I mean, but we're the ones that know, so we need to take back control of the narrative. And I think we've kind of lost the narrative,
So. And we all came, well, the three of us all obviously came from that background, and I started off, when I first started in this, I was the poor data dog. I was the guy that just ran routes 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, climbing, hot, sweaty, nasty. I used to not be nearly as fat as I am now, and I was able to do the stairs. Anymore, I'd probably drop dead of a heart attack if I tried some of that stuff I used to do.
Yeah.
But I was all over the place, just running around with a VB7, collecting data so I could bring it back to somebody to analyze. And, it even something as, I don't want to say mundane, because collecting data, I mean, that's the foundation of any good vibration program. I mean, you can have the best analyst on planet Earth, but if the data dog's not applying the magnet correctly, it's all going to fall apart quickly. So I took a lot of pride in just knowing that the data I had no idea what the data meant, but I knew what ski slope looked like, and I knew that wasn't good. So I learned how to not do that. And then I, from there started working into a little bit of, okay, now I'm going to try doing some cross-channel phase analysis. Now, I don't know what it is, but I've heard people talk about it. And what's it going to hurt to take some readings on something? So just learn along the way. And then I finally got to a point where this wasn't obviously an overnight deal. Do it long enough. Okay, maybe I could teach somebody else how to do this. And then you just kind of go from there and work it up from there. But I think if I would have came into this from a complete theoretical stance, I don't think I'd be doing what I do now by any stretch. Because, and even being, and not only, we're a service provider, but we also, sell tools and sell training and perform the training. We do, the whole gamut. I feel from a theoretical aspect, my trainings would be way less effective. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been asked a question specifically about, hey, we're working on a XYZ piece of equipment and we're running into this problem. What do you do? A theorist is going to go, I don't know. Well, I can say, well, I haven't worked on that specifically, but I did work on something that was very similar to that. Let's see if this works. you know, and I think
that's what I mean too by service provider, not just going out and collecting data.
Yeah.
The differentiator between all the tools you sell, everybody sells tools, everybody sells sensors, everybody, you know, the difference is the service level that you provide to the client. That's the differentiator, right? What people don't understand is how important that service level is. I know companies that go out, wrongly install sensors all over the place, and you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've all seen it, you know, and you never hear from them again. And it's like, why did you go that route? You know what I mean? When really what you're truly paying for is the service that you get. Everybody has the sensors, everybody has the tools, you know what I mean? Like, what's the differentiator? The largest differentiator is, can I trust the person that is doing the install, that is taking the data readings, that is, you know what I mean? And is going to be there with the phone call. And Adam, you're one of those, Adam. Everybody knows it. They can call you, say, hey, I have this issue, blah, blah, blah. That's a differentiator. It's a huge differentiator, right? It's like, when I have a problem, I need somebody I can lean on because I'm not the expert. I want to lean on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I talk about service providers, it's more the level of service you're providing with the tools and the technology, less about going out and just collecting data, stuff like that, which I know you guys do some of that too.
Sure.
But that's a huge piece, and people miss that all the time when they go into buying the tools and the technology. Right?
They get too wrapped around the price a lot of times. And
that's going to be everywhere. So
and I
the thing is you've got to sell the value of the service.
Value and cost are not the same thing. Not even kind of. And I think people just see, and it's kind of on topic, but people
balk on cost when they don't think they're getting the value.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. And so if people are balking on cost, and we didn't sell them on the value of what it is that we're providing.
Sure.
And so the thing is we've got to up our game on the value that we provide. Right? Like if I told you we're going to go buy a new car, and you're like, oh, what car are we going to buy? I don't know. You know, how about an American-made car? Well, if that's the case, it's a Hyundai, because it's the only 100% American. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, and then you're like, okay, but we as Americans, a lot of us look at Hyundai as an unreliable vehicle, but they're also one that will back it up with a 100,000-mile warranty, which forced the industry to change their warranty because they know their standard of reliability, right? And so as you start to research it and understand it more, you start to understand the value that you're getting from that car, so you're willing to pay for it, right? And some people will look at a Porsche and think they're getting value out of it, or you know, and compare it to a Range Rover, which is one of the most unreliable vehicles you can get, and try to compare the two. It's like, there is no compare. There's no value in a Range Rover. They break down all the time. They have one of the highest dollars set aside for warranty claims because they know it's going to be back in the shop. You know, or Porsche, if you take it in and get it serviced, the thing will last forever. It's two different values you're providing, and they're the same price point.
Yeah.
Right. And so you get more value from one than the other. But anyway.
That's why Brett and I just keep driving old broke down vehicles, because
oh, you still like to work on them. So, you
know? They're so hard to work on. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I know. Computerized, yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I know that when I left the dealership in 2013, and it was getting pretty bad then, but I always so I worked for 3 different dealerships, and I always worked for Chrysler. I was a Mopar nut through and through. Still like them, don't get me wrong, but when I left, I would only drive Dodge.
I like my Dodge.
I would only drive Dodge. I had 3 or 4 Dodge pickups. You know, we had a couple Jeeps. I was all about my Mopars. And people would say, well, why are you so dead set on these? And it's like, because I know how to work on them. That was the only reason, because I knew how to work on them if something went wrong.
Right.
But then when I'm going to call it fortunately, in a weird way, when we found out we were having the twins about 3 years ago, my wife was driving a Grand Cherokee. I had a Dodge Ram. It's like, we're going to need something a little bigger. And Chrysler didn't have anything. The biggest thing they had was that Grand Wagoneer. And even with the third rows, the trunk space on it's about the size of a pop can. So I'm like, unfortunately, we're gonna have to jump brands, and we had to get a Yukon, and then I bought a Suburban, and it's like, now I don't even own a Chrysler product anymore, and it got to the point now, even now that it's 2025 and the 2026s are on the lot, I wouldn't know how to work on a Dodge now anyway. You know, they're all just a computer with a motor slammed in them. And hell, anymore, the engines are going away too. So I can't work on those things anymore. So at this point, I figure, to me, it doesn't matter what brand it is. I'm looking for reliability and value. Just like you said, what's my cost of ownership?
Right.
But
that's the value, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's take a slight detour here. First off, tell us just a little bit about what Reliability X does. How long you guys have been around, how you and George started that. Just kind of give us a little backstory on that.
So backstory, George and I met at conferences, and in 2014, we did, not back to back, but at the same kind of back, and then I went, another guy spoke, and then George went. I'm doing rap talks at a maintenance conference, and of course we've kind of already knew each other at the time, but he came up afterwards. He's like, "Man, you get it, dude. I want to work with you," or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, whatever, man. You know, give me a job. I'll come wherever," right? Type of thing. So, kind of fast forward, he goes to work for B. Braun Medical in Pennsylvania, and he created a job, basically an assistant director, and it's a pharmaceutical job. So, and he ends up calling me, telling me to interview for it. I interview for it. I get the job. So him and I start working together. As we're starting to work together, it's like, dude, we need to start a business. Like, you know, it's one of those where you get to the point to where the company's hiring consultants and you have to train the consultants. It's probably time for you just to go and do it yourself. So it was kind of that type of thing. So we started in 2018, kind of part-time-ish while we were working with the pharmaceutical company. And then we got our first client in 2019 to take us full-time. And then it's kind of been that way from this point on. So, at first you kind of take on all the work you can get. We're in that phase now where we're starting to niche down. So what we do basically is take plant losses and turn them into profits. That's what we do. And so, there's a lot of people out there that claim to get savings and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we're helping margins and bottom lines because we're eliminating the issues that exist in your plant, and we're teaching others to do it. Our business model is to develop champions to go out and do everything we teach them to do so that they can sustain it and we can move on to the next organization. What we don't want to do is be a cash cow at some company for 35 years. And it kind of blows my mind that these companies continue to use consultants and will pay millions of dollars a year for them and never get results. Like, consultants, if we're doing our jobs in the maintenance and reliability space, we should be working ourselves out of a job, because the more reliable you get, the less you should need them. Right. And so it's counterintuitive to me that people will pay millions of dollars for no results, while we can get you millions of dollars and get out of your face, and you'll have a group of people that can do it yourself. So that's kind of what we do. Of course, we do training, stuff like that. A lot of training. We just love to teach. We want to make people better, grow people. Plus, it grows us. It challenges us, right? And so we do a lot of that as well. But we kind of have a process in which we do that through assessment and loss analysis, and then into implementation. So yeah, that's kind of what we do. A lot of manufacturing. We work in power gen, and we've done work for public universities, utilities, that type of stuff. So it kind of depends, but the bulk majority of our stuff is manufacturing, for sure. I love manufacturing. I mean, I've always loved manufacturing. So I think it's the backbone of this country, even depleting. So,
and that's the space I'm most comfortable in, just because it's my background, I would say. But and I was fortunate enough. This was, I think it was last year. I think time gets away from you when you're having fun, you know. But I was down in Miami for our annual rep meetings down at Ludeca. Might have been 2 years ago now. And they had George come down and do the keynote. Dude, that guy he's a riot.
He's crazy.
He is crazy. All those AI things that he brought down with like Frank Seidenthal's hair versus his hair. And it's like, I don't know what, it's like he walks up there and everybody's sitting there like, dude, is he kidding right now? What's going on? But it
started with me and Frank. It was a running joke early on when I was a practitioner, bringing Ludeca, buying their tools and stuff, right?
Okay.
And so I'm on the phone with Alex Nino, and I'm like, the only way I'm going to buy this tool is if I can run my hand through Frank's hair. Because, it's always slicked back. It's always like, I'm like, I just want to just like, one of these things too. So it became kind of a running joke between us. I just want to touch your hair type of thing. And so George kind of took that and went to town with it. So it's kind of funny. We were laughing. He was sharing the presentation with me before he went down there. He's like, dude, what do you think about this? I'm like, that is so awesome. Like, it is so awesome.
Crocker had sent me a couple of those AI clips, and he's like, do you think Frank's going to get mad? And I'm like, no, I don't think anybody, this is hilarious.
Nah. But at least not with us. He knows the joke, so it is, and he's always really good at taking the jokes. But he's just as good at dishing it, right? He's going to take it. He's going to dish it.
I've been really fortunate. So, I've got to work with Frank now for about 8-9 years, and that guy he's just a stand-up dude. I love working with him, and he's always, if you need help or you need some insight or some, and the thing is about him, the guy knows everybody in the industry. Just from so many
awesome.
years of doing it.
I almost look at him as almost a mentor of mine. I've ran a lot of things by him because he knows the business.
Yeah.
And me going into consulting, like I owned a business before, but it was a restaurant, completely different than jumping into consulting.
Sure.
Now, there's similarities because I love manufacturing, and a restaurant's just small scale manufacturing, but very business savvy. And so, I bounce a lot of things off of him. We have a very good relationship. I love him. All of his guys, Pedro, I love Pedro. His dad is phenomenal. Dieter is one of the greatest human beings to ever exist.
Dieter is such a nice guy.
I'm telling you, man, that group of guys is they've put together a phenomenal team and a phenomenal distributors. I mean, all of you guys, you, Eric, like I love all you guys, man. You guys are awesome. And it's hard for me to want to put my name behind people because of how many times I've been burned and my credibility. So I'm very hesitant to put my name behind things. But you guys, for sure, are one of the few companies today that I even talk about anymore. I've been burned by some of.
That's awesome.
I'm serious. Like you, Eric, the Ludeca folks, about the only group of people I talk about anymore. I've been burned by everybody else. And so it's kind of pointless when you've made them millions of dollars in sales selling their tools and they just still crap all over you.
Right.
So, because once I came to this side of the fence, I was a nobody anymore, right? Because I wasn't buying their tools anymore, even though I was selling them and they didn't even know.
Sure.
And so, it's one of those things in business where everybody now sees you as the enemy. And it's like, the pie's really big and no one knows any of us exist.
Yeah.
We're fighting over 10,000 people and there's 2.5 million just in manufacturing. And we're fighting over 10,000 people. Like, the pie's big enough for everybody. I don't understand how I've become your enemy when what I do, you can't do, and what you do, I can't do. Like, it's complementary. It just doesn't make sense to me. But whatever, man. It doesn't matter to me. So I'll team up with people that take action, provide good service, and want to do well. And so that's why I appreciate about it.
It means a lot coming from you. It really does. Because you of all people, like I was telling Brett in the intro, said it's kind of like when you played Mario, you had to get through all the bosses to finally get to the ultimate boss at the end. I feel like we've done that through the first 7 podcasts. We're at the ultimate boss now. I had to take you down.
You conquered. Are you saying I'm a big fat turtle?
No.
We got the white whale.
I could see him with it. I could see you with the shell on though. But so
just call me Koopa. Yeah.
And speaking of like backstories and history, aside from Reliability X, how about you? Like, where are you from? How did you work your way up through industry? Go to school,
I grew
stuff
up
like
in
that.
Southwest Kansas, man.
Okay,
I'm a Kansas boy. Holcomb, Kansas, Garden City area, Southwest. Went to school there my whole life. Graduated high school there. And then I started in beef packing, so I kind of cut my teeth at the big beef packing plants there. Started at
Liberal?
It's now Tyson, but it was IBP at the time. Garden City. Okay. Well, Finney County plant, the Tyson.
All right.
But it was IBP when I worked there. And then left there and I went to a ConAgra plant that was in Garden City. It burnt down in like 2000. So, it's one of those, who knows, mysteriously happened. I'll just leave it at that. But,
did you do it?
Yeah. And then, I was I didn't have the best reputation. I'll just put it that way. And, so my wife and I were together then, and then we moved to Oklahoma City for a while. I ran restaurants for 4 or 5 years, then opened my own restaurant. I did that for a few years. Realized that was a terrible mistake. Sold it, and I mean, it's still in operation today. So to me, I consider that a success. I mean, it's been 25 years.
That's in OKC?
3 years or something. Yeah, it's in OKC. They moved it downtown. It was on 18th and Classen, but now it's downtown. But I moved back to Dodge City, Kansas, and started back at National Beef. Went back into beef packing. Worked my way up into management there. I didn't have a college degree. Started as technician right out of high school. So didn't know what tools were. I mean, I was so green, man. And so then I left there, went to Kansas City, was at a bakery for a while, and then I went up to Wisconsin, and then I went to Toledo, Ohio, to Smuckers.
Jeez.
And then went back to Salina, Kansas for a year, and then moved up to Pennsylvania with George. So I've done 7 plant turnarounds. As a maintenance manager. So the center of excellence as a maintenance manager. So the stuff that I do now for organizations, I was perfecting the system. It actually started in the restaurant business. I realized managing food costs and labor, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can cut head counts and budgets, or you can raise your sales and raise your ticket price. Right. So for example, if I sell a pizza for $5 and my labor is $1 and it's $1 to make the pizza, the margin's $3. That $3 goes to my overhead. If I sell the pizza for $15 and my labor's $1, right, and my food cost is $1, my margins are a lot bigger. So I took that concept into large scale manufacturing and realized that your direct costs You can lower your direct costs by one of two ways. One is, well, it's the same thing. It's raising throughputs. So eliminating breakdowns, minor stops, process failures, those types of losses that eat away at your profit margins. Or you cut headcounts and budgets. The problem today is all we know is cut headcounts and budgets. But typically, when you're cutting headcounts and budgets, that means you're a failing company. The problem is a lot of these companies aren't failing and they're still taking actions of a failing company by doing it because they're trying to get to the bottom line. Where we go in, eliminate losses, and turn that into margins. And so, we did that for the first company we worked for, and we made them on the first line. They tried to it seemed like they tried to set us up for failure, right? Gave us the lowest volume line. There was only one guy in the organization that wanted help. And to shut him up, they threw a little bit of money his way, We took a line that was running, it ran 3 shifts, 6 days a week, almost 7 days a week, to produce 3.9 million pounds of product. In less than 6 months, we had it running 1 full shift a week, Monday through Friday, and 2 days on second shift. So we reduced the total shift. It was like 78 shifts we reduced. We produced 5.4 million pounds of product or something like that, and saved 23 cents per unit of product across 5 million units. So we made them over $1 million, and they sustained that for 1 year. We put a percentage of our PO at risk that if they didn't sustain it, we wouldn't get, because we put our money where our mouth is. That's the way we did it. 35% of our PO, which was a decent sized PO. So we were out to lose a lot of money, and they sustained it for a year, and they had to pay us 35%, right? So, and then they were like, wow, these guys do get results. Because the problem with consultants, right, is we all talk a good game, but they're not seeing the results. So 99.9% of consultants give the 0.1% a bad name, right? We're like lawyers. Yeah. And so, or politicians or whatever. And so, they put us on another line. We made it, I don't know, it was $1.50 a unit reduction. So, they increased the margin. They went from $5 cost per unit to it was $4.97 cost per unit down to $3.49 per unit across 11 million units on another line. And so they were like, holy cow, like, this is crazy.
How you talk about sustaining things. How hard is it to come into a site and show them what to do the right way, and then you leave, and then they go back to their old ways and they blow it? How hard is it to sustain it?
Well, here's the thing. People will tell you that if you have good systems, blah, 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 that's all BS. Yes, you need good systems, but everything revolves around the champion. So if the champion leaves, yes, everything goes back to chaos.
Yeah.
Okay. But if the champion stays, everything is good. And so, there we didn't have a champion, but we trained all the operators. So every one of them knew, to the point to where about 6 months in, we got a phone call from their HR department and said, what did you do to our employees? I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, we tried moving them to other lines and they all revolted. Yeah, they didn't want to. They were all going to walk out. Wow. It's like, why are you blaming us for that? We developed your people. They have a really good working system. Why wouldn't you replicate that? And ultimately, they did. They've brought us back a few times because they built a new plant. They had us out at that plant. They had us in a Wisconsin plant. So, we've done it for quite a few people now.
I think that answers my question. But when you go into a site, who do you target? Who's the perfect target to make sure that this stuff sticks?
The true leader. Who's the one that has the influence? Is it the grouchy old man? Is it the chick that knows what she's doing? That's the person you target.
Well, shit, that's
because you win them over. You win over the whole.
You're absolutely right. But how do you know who that is when you go in there? How do you know?
It's really easy. Okay. You know who has the influence because, well, such and such is going to be against this or such and such, right?
Yeah.
Everybody will tell you, and it's like that's the person I need to talk to. I want to talk to that person.
Usually,
and then it's just a conversation. And typically, the grouchy old people that everybody hate, the reason that people hate them is because they're frustrated that no one's listening.
Yeah.
It's not that they're bad employees.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they've been led wrong and no one's listened. These people know what they're doing. They just haven't been empowered to do what they know that they could be doing.
Yeah.
And so it's really a lot. Now, it's not to say that's 100% of the time, but I'd say 95% of the time. You're not going to win them all.
Yeah.
But, I mean, those are the people I target. Who's the influencer? That's the real leader in this facility.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not going for quote unquote management or whatever. I'm looking for the leader because they're the one that's going to lead it.
Because management is not always the guy that's everybody listens
to. And it could be. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. Every organization is different. So in that aspect, they're different, but they all have the same problems, which is funny because you know how many times an organization has told me, "You don't understand, Joe. We're different." Like, but you have motors, right? Yeah. You have bearings, right? Yeah. You have gearboxes? Yeah. Do you have pump? Yeah. Do you have a conveyor? Yeah. Yeah, the process is different. I'll give you that. One's making potatoes, one's making wood, one's making whatever, right? But the equipment's the same. The problems are the same, right? So it's quite easy to duplicate and replicate what it is we do because we try to keep things as simple as possible. What we see value in the simplicity. What happens is smart people, quote unquote, take simple things and make it complex, which dilutes value. Where our job as teachers and trainers is to take the complex and make it simple. That's where the true value lies. And so make the process simple, train people on the process, follow the process. It's very tedious, simplistic, repeatable work. Right? So, yeah.
Oh, you're definitely right there. I mean, a lot of times I'll call myself, instead of saying I'm an instructor, I'll say what I am is I'm a translator. I'm going to translate this book that you could buy on your own. You could read it on your own, and maybe you can glean from it the stuff you need and you can learn stuff, but not everybody can. So my job is to translate what it says into terms you understand. And sometimes that's what it takes, is just somebody to clarify it for these people. They have the same information we have, but they don't understand it on their own. And then I translate it into layman's terms, and they're like, totally get it.
How many times have you seen light bulbs go off, right? That's where the icing is, man. That's the love of the game right there.
Yeah.
When the light bulb goes off, you know you've won.
That's why I keep doing this. So
that's why we do it.
Yeah. And then my job is to translate what Brett said to where it makes sense for people.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what's that guy talking about?
Yeah.
Well,
that's awesome, man.
Anyway, we are, first, I want to tell you again how much we appreciate you coming on, but I figure we're at almost an hour 20. It's about 8:40 your time. You're probably about ready to get some dinner or color in the evening.
It's time to go walking, man.
Okay.
I'm dogs walking, wife and dog stroll. That's what time it is. I go to bed about 2 a.m. So I'll be up a while. My day's just getting started.
Well, so I was blaming it on you that it was getting late, but really I'm getting tired. So I guess that's what I'm getting. So when we're down, you're coming in Monday night. Is that correct? You're flying in?
I'm coming in Sunday.
Oh, you're coming in Sunday.
I'm coming in a day early because I want to make sure with flights and everything that I make it there. What I don't want to do is not be able to make it. So I gave myself an extra day.
Okay. Well, I'm planning on leaving.
I'll be there Monday. I think I'd land at 11:30ish or something in that
on Sunday.
Morning, so.
Sunday morning. Okay. So my plan is I'm going to drop the kids off at school Monday morning. Then I'm going to hit Bricks. So I should be down there lunchtime ish. and I'll look you up, and
All
we'll.
right, man. Hit me up.
You like barbecue?
Yeah, sounds good.
Are you a barbecue
I
fan?
lived in Kansas City, dude.
You want to go? You want to hit
I love
Q39 with me?
Sounds good, man. Let's do
Shout out Q39. Maybe they'll sponsor us. That place is amazing. Hey, we've tried it with different bourbons and stuff. It hasn't worked yet. I'm just waiting for my Costco sponsorship. That'd save me a ton of money. But anyway,
right.
dude,
yeah.
very much appreciate it. And we will we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You guys are doing good work. Even though it's underappreciated, man. Keep it going.
Thanks,
well, someday we'll get the word out there a little more. All right. See you guys.
That's all good. Have a good night. Appreciate it.